Hey guys, and welcome to today's video where I will show you 3 Facebook advertising mistakes that you might be doing but you're not aware of them, and I will show you how you can tackle that and actually avoid these mistakes. In a few days I will come up with a second video with some more Facebook ad mistakes, so please make sure that you subscribe to this channel in order to get this new video right to your inbox. Plus, I have a little announcement to make. If you are using the messenger app Telegram, you can just check the link in the description right here and you can join our Telegram channel, where I will put out all the content that doesn't make it into your YouTube video. Like, I will shoot you some voice messages, some pictures, some tutorials, some tips, just stuff that doesn't make it to YouTube. So if you want to learn even more and stay ahead, please make sure that you join this Telegram channel, and I'd be happy to welcome you there. But now let's just get started with the video. Alright, so let's get started with the first mistake, which is not having a look at total auction overlap or auction overlap in general, which can be found if you check your Facebook campaigns and below the ad set level you see something called See Delivery Insights. If you click it, you land on this screen here with audience saturation, activity history, and auction overlap. And if you have a look at auction overlap, you can see how often one of your ad set was overlapping with another ad set in terms of having the same users in both of them. So you can see in this specific ad set here, which currently runs at $25 a day, it used to run at $50 a day, we have no overlap at all. We had 0.36% and 0.44% overlap at these days, but since then we had no overlap at all. And this means that on this day here, 0.44% of the people in this ad set were actually also in another ad set that we run. So there was this overlap. Now, the bad thing, if you have a lot of overlap, for example, if you run 3 ad sets all in the pet niche, and on one you target a pet brand, on one you target pet-related articles or pet-related magazines, chances are that there are many people in all of these ad sets at the same time, because the interests are so related to each other. This means that you won't pay more for a click or something because Facebook doesn't let you compete with yourself, but it's still very negative because Facebook may stop the delivery of some of your ad sets, or at least will reduce it, because obviously they don't want to show some of your ads to the same people, so running with the same ad sets. So it will stop your delivery, or it will reduce it, which means that you will probably not get the full potential out of all of your ad sets, which means in turn that one ad set gets delivered a lot, but the other ones don't get delivered that much. You don't get all the information from this ad sets. Probably there were some very, very relevant people for your business in the other ad sets, but you will never know because they didn't get delivered that much. So this is a huge problem I see that a lot of people are making. Whenever I take a look at new client accounts, I see that many people are actually doing this mistake and essentially leaving a lot on the table by not making sure that their audiences are at least as unique as possible, instead of keeping them too similar and too similar to each other. So make sure that you avoid this. Take a look at your auction overlap on a regular basis. If you see that the overlap is really, really high, make sure that you change your targeting. That will definitely help to reduce the problem of this. Make sure that you probably consolidate certain ad sets. So instead of using 5 very similar ones, combine them into one bigger ad set, and you will definitely avoid this first problem already. The second mistake is actually somewhat related to the first one. It's making a lot of smaller ad sets, hoping that you will find a winner, and then scaling this one instead of going with a little bigger ad sets that have a little more room to optimize. So the Facebook algorithm and machine learning is very, very, very strong, and many people make the mistakes that they think to outsmart these algorithms by coming up with a lot of artificial constructions on how they craft their ad sets. So let me just quickly show you what I mean. And at this point, I have to give a huge shout out to Andrew from Funnel Boom, who essentially confirmed my view on that. And he really gave a very good video on how this works exactly. But essentially, many people I know come up with multiple, oh, this is a beautiful circle here, come up with multiple ads, and all of them are relatively small. For example, 50,000 people per ad set, ad sets, I meant not ads. For example, 50,000 people per ad set or 100,000 people per ad set. they are hoping that even though this ad set here might lose, this one might lose, this one might lose, probably this one here will become a winner. So they hope that when some of them lose, they cut them off early and they only continue with the winner. In general, this strategy isn't that bad, but the problem is that people normally split it up upon really too many different ad sets, and they continue with very, very small budgets. So what I recommend to do is, of course, you should still be split testing, but instead of coming up with a lot of these small audiences, from my experience, it makes more sense to come up with, for example, 2 bigger audiences. Instead of coming, for example, with 10 times $10 a day, you come up with 2 times $50 a day. So now you have $50 to spend on this one and $50 to spend on this one, instead of having like $10 for this, and 5 more, right? So previously, Facebook had very little room to optimize because it only had these limited audiences. Maybe, like I said, they might still be overlapping, and Facebook is optimized to find the best and the most relevant people among huge amounts of data. So now you say, hey, Facebook, do you know what? We have 500,000 people in this ad set, or 1 million or 2 million, and 1 or 2 million in this ad set here. And now Facebook has a lot of room to find the most relevant people in both of these ad sets. And it also has a bigger budget so that it can spend the first like 10, 20, 30, 50, $100 actually looking for people. And then if they at some point find the converters, so the right people, you will see the results, and this results will increase over time. And because you have a pretty big audience, you will actually see some very good results from there, and you don't have to scale that much. So when I look at our own campaigns, actually the bigger ones, the bigger ad sets outperformed the very, very narrow and very small ones in many cases. So people think the more specific and the smaller they get, the better. But actually, we made the experience that it's the other way around. Of course, only as long as you still come up with relevant targeting for your audience. And it also depends on kind of the niche you're in. Maybe if it's super, super specific, it doesn't make sense to go with 2 million people. But normally with general e-commerce products, it's better to not split your budget among too many different ad sets at a level that is just too low. So this is essentially the second Facebook ad mistake many people are making right here. The third mistake is that many people spend considerable amount of time in their ads manager looking around for certain technical things, like how to beat the system if you want, or like how to get the most out of certain ad sets by adjusting the manual bit just a tiny little way. But they actually lose sight for the really important things, like how to craft a great ad, how to make amazing copy, how to structure the funnel behind the ad. So in general, the third mistake can be named as being too technical and just doing too much micromanagement within Facebook ads, instead of focusing on the real value creating part of the advertising efforts. For example, the majority of people I know, let's say this is the total time, let's say they spend this much of their time, so all this right here, inside Facebook Ads Manager, like having a look at all the campaigns, changing budgets all the time, coming up with manual bidding, and instead of $1 per click, they suddenly spend $1.10 or something like this. So they do a lot of very small actions, and they think that this is the way to beat the system, like coming up with new things to try all the time. And of course, it makes sense that you really try to get as much out of the Facebook ads as possible, but they lose sight for some very important aspects that you can find in this space here. So they're only spending very few time on things like how to create a perfect ad copy, or how to create an ad that is really engaging, like a great image and putting everything together, or how to structure the funnel in the back end, like how to come up with the best type of retargeting, how to make sure that the landing page is very well designed and it fits the message. So they really spend all this time in this technical area here, and they spend just a very, very short amount of time on the really value creating things that are really about the marketing part in this one. So while they could come up with an amazing copy that essentially persuades people to go to their website and sell, they spend all the time on the other things and just come up with a very generic ad that it looks quite boring, that is used by 99% of all advertisers. And while this can still work, of course, this type of ad, these type of ads will get more and more. This will get more and will bring you worse and worse performance in total, because they were used by so many people, and at some point people might at least be somewhat ignoring them, at least in a minor way. So my recommendation is spend more time on crafting the message, crafting the image, building the copy, structuring the funnel, instead of spending too much time in the ads manager and always trying to micromanage every single thing and trying to beat the Facebook ad system. Rather spend your time on building the perfect ad and let Facebook do its work before you make any major adjustments to this whole process.